Because of the belief that Jesus will return soon, St. Paul often was preparing his listeners for the parousia, for the end times, for the time that he would return. As we heard in the letter, we're running out of time. The Beatitudes of Jesus today, especially from Luke's Gospel, is a description of life in between this world and the next, with all the virtues that would build up God's future kingdom, which is here but not yet. Here, but not yet. Disciples are encouraged to be the blessedness of the future, to live in the blessedness of the future, even if the blessedness is not yet part of the lived experience. By committing yourself to live as Jesus did, you will find richness and satisfaction, laughter and joy, because the kingdom of God already lives in you. That's the message from Luke's Gospel. Unlike Matthew's version, though, Luke adds the opposites as well. Some people call them the woebetides, describing those who indulge in this world's benefits, but not the hope of the kingdom of God. My friends, today we commemorate the life of St. Peter Claver, a native of Spain who was ordained as a Jesuit priest and spent most of his priesthood in the area that is now known as Colombia in South America, which was also the chief slave market of South America. 10,000 African slaves arrived at the port every month. Peter was there to meet all the ships. He entered the holds, which were meant to be were the housing for those who were being carried to new countries to be slaves. He met them at the ships bearing food and medicine and sweets. He said, we must speak to these with our hands before we speak to them with our lips. With help with interpreters, Peter taught these brutalized slaves about the love of God. Over 33 years of his ministry, he instructed and baptized over 300,000 slaves, and he called himself the slave of slaves. Unfortunately, current events of our own time raises the consciousness of people who were deemed subhuman by their conquerors. And the example of Peter Claver comes to us today on this feast day and prompts us to engage in the same kind of issues, not past history, but our history. Brothers and sisters, change comes from conversion of the heart. We have the chance to move humanity closer to what Jesus talked about as the beloved community, closer to what God envisions, the parousia, when all will be all in him. That's when history and hope will meet together in God's love.